Hi, guys, welcome to Rightly Dividing. Read right, believe right. And here we use simple Bible interpretation principles to take on verses we believe are often misunderstood or are just purely difficult, and we make them simpler for you to understand because we believe that every believer can understand the Bible. You can understand the Bible if you take some steps. It opens up to you like in a beautiful way. The first thing is you want to always read the pretext and the post-text because the scriptures have a context. There is always a context to every verse, and you want to always take it as a whole, not as a part. Secondly, you want to let scripture interpret itself. You don't want to bring in your own preconceived notions or ideas that people have given to you. And finally, something that's really helpful is to use multiple translations because they make it easier to understand many times. So we're going to be looking at a very controversial verse today, and I'm going to step on a lot of people's toes. Hopefully I don't step on yours, but if I do, I hope you'll be humble enough to follow with me and see if what I'm saying is true or if it makes any sense at all. But I'm going to use these three principles to explain Psalm chapter 82 verse 6. You probably know this verse. I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. You know, a lot of preachers have taken this verse to mean that believers are little gods or are kind of like in the same spiritual class as God himself. But is that what this verse is saying? Is it saying that we are gods? And what does that even mean? If it really means we're gods, what does that mean? Are we like supposed to be worshipped, or are we supposed to be superior to everyone else? What's the idea behind that? And so we're going to use the principles. The first thing is always take it in context. And so what I've done today is to have the whole chapter. It's just 8 verses, so we're going to read through it, and this is definitely going to have a part 2. I have a feeling, because there's so much to talk about and I can't do that in just one video. So let's see how it goes. So the chapter starts with God standeth in the congregation of the mighty. Okay, so there's a congregation of the mighty. Notice this word. This is crucial, right? We're studying in context. So he's standing in the congregation of the mighty. And he's also judging. Okay, he's judging among the gods. So mighty, gods. Saying the same thing. Do you agree? I think that's what it means. And then this is God speaking. How long? Because he's judging among the gods. So he says in verse 2, how long will ye judge unjustly? So he's rebuking some people who are tagged gods in this chapter. He's rebuking them and saying, how long will you be unjust in your judgment and accept the persons of the wicked? So you're having favoritism towards those who are wicked, and there's a pause here. It says Selah. So think about that. And then verse 3 says, defend the poor and fatherless. This is still God speaking. Defend the poor and the fatherless. God is very passionate about those who are treated badly. And he says, do justice to the afflicted and the needy. He's telling them what to do because they're not doing it, right? Verse 4 says, deliver the poor, same word again, and the needy. Rid them out of the hand of the wicked. That's what they're supposed to do. But they're not doing it. They're not doing it. That's what verse 5 is saying. They know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. So instead of judging righteously, they're judging unjustly. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. So these people who are supposed to be judging, these people who are supposed to be ruling, these people who are supposed to be defending the poor and the fatherless, these people who are supposed to be defending the poor and the needy and do justice to the afflicted, are walking in darkness. They're not doing what they're supposed to do, and that's why there is this indictment by God. things are messed up because you're not doing what you're supposed to do. The foundations of the earth are out of course. There's no order anymore. And then verse 6, the famous verse, I have said, this is God, I have said, ye are gods. So we see the word again, gods. And I think I should add here that the Hebrew word for gods is Elohim. That's important, right? Because the first verse has the word God as well. And sometimes God himself is referred to as Elohim. So what's happening here? Well, the word Elohim has multiple meanings. The Hebrew is very vast in meaning. So we're going to probably talk more about that in the next video. But I want to get somewhere with this. So I have said ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. Alright, you're children of the Most High. But you will die like men. Ye shall die like men. So you will die like ordinary men. That's what he's saying. And fall like one of the princes. And then the whole chapter ends with, arise, O God, judge the earth, for thou shalt inherit all nations. So what is this talking about? So far we've seen it's talking about people who God gave authority to take care of people. He gave them authority. He gave them some kind of authority over other human beings, or these people had some kind of power, some kind of civil authority, and they had to be respected. And you can also tell from here that God gave these people a power or authority that came from God himself, who we see in verse 8 is judging the whole earth. So we're seeing what this is saying, but let's look at another translation. Maybe that would help. And so we look at the NIV, and in the NIV we have more explanation. We have quotation marks. That could be helpful. Verse 6 says, I have said, or I said, you are gods, you are all sons of the Most High. But let's see the context again. Verse 1 says, God presides in the great assembly. He renders judgment among the gods. So he is judging the gods in quotes. Very important. How long will you defend the unjust? So you're defending the wrong people, and show partiality to the wicked. So you're being on the side of the wrong people. He says, defend the weak and the fatherless. Uphold the cause of the poor and the oppressed. So remember, God is really, really, he has a thing for the weak and the despised. He will always fight for them. And then he says, rescue the weak and the needy. Deliver them from the hand of the wicked. He's telling them what they should do. He says, these gods, they know nothing. They understand nothing. They walk about in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are shaken. I said, that's our favorite verse, right? You are gods. You are all sons of the Most High, but you will die like mere mortals. So you'll just be like every other person, or you fall like every other ruler. But you're children of the Most High, but you're not gonna be that way anymore because you're treating people wrong. So there's a rebuke here. I hope you see that there is a rebuke from God. And then verse 8 says, rise up, O God, judge the earth, for all the nations are your inheritance. So this is a really long video, but there's some things that are really clear. So let's try to bring it out. So first of all, they are called gods. The question in your mind should be, what does that mean? And it's safe to call them judges because of the context, rulers. Mind you, we're talking about Psalms chapter 82. This is the Old Testament, and this is talking about Israel. So you can't just carry all of that and make it the reality of the New Testament. But that's something we'll talk about in the next video. Rulers, judges, magistrates, just anyone who has some sort of authority. And what's common is that these three all got their authority from God. And so this is basically just a specific use of the word gods. And I can even give more evidence to that by saying that this same word was used somewhere else in the book of Exodus, where God was speaking to Moses and he said, I have made you a god to Pharaoh, right? So meaning you're going to be authoritative to him. It didn't mean that he was now in the same class with God. It just meant I'm going to make you a ruler. I hope this simplifies it, but we're going to have another video. And in that video, we're going to answer the question, what about John 10:34, right? Jesus replied, isn't it written in your law, I have said you are God? So he was referring to the law here, which is Psalms 82 verse 6. But what was Jesus saying? Was he saying you're gods? Was he saying I'm a god? We're going to talk about that in the next video. So stay tuned and keep rightly dividing.